Have you ever questioned reality? Like, what if everything we know is just a giant computer program? Sounds crazy, right? But it's a question that has fascinated philosophers and scientists for centuries. Movies like The Matrix have popularized this idea. Remember Neo taking the red pill and discovering the truth? While it's just a movie, it makes us think, could we be living in a simulation without even knowing it? This isn't just science fiction anymore. Some very smart people like philosopher Nick Bostrom and entrepreneur Elon Musk believe it's a real possibility. Let's dive into this mind-blowing concept. Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at Oxford University, proposed the simulation hypothesis. His idea is pretty simple yet mind-boggling. He argues that if technology keeps advancing, we'll eventually create simulations indistinguishable from reality. Think about the video games we have today. They're getting incredibly realistic, right? Now imagine a civilization way more advanced than us. They could create simulations with conscious beings like you and me, unaware of their true nature. Bostrom believes that if creating such simulations is possible, then it's highly probable we are in one ourselves. Why? Because the chances of being the original civilization are slim compared to the vast number of simulated ones that could exist. Elon Musk, the guy behind Tesla and SpaceX, is known for his bold ideas about the future. He's also a big proponent of the simulation hypothesis. Musk has even said that the odds of us not living in a simulation are 1 in billions. His reasoning? Look at the exponential growth of technology. We went from Atari games to virtual reality in just a few decades. If this trend continues, creating simulations as complex as our world seems inevitable. Musk believes that if we reach a point where simulations are indistinguishable from reality, then, statistically, it's more likely we are simulated beings than the original ones. Not everyone buys into the simulation theory, though. Skeptics argue that just because we can imagine something doesn't mean it's true. They point out flaws in the argument. One counter-argument is that the simulation hypothesis is unfalsifiable. That means there's no experiment we can do to definitively prove or disprove it. And if we can't test it, is it really a scientific concept? Others argue that the computational power needed to simulate an entire universe, down to the smallest detail, would be astronomical. Even with advanced technology, creating such a complex simulation seems implausible. Section 5. Video games and virtual reality, our simulation sneak peek? While the debate rages on, one thing is clear. Our technology is blurring the lines between reality and simulation. Video games are becoming hyper-realistic, and virtual reality immerses us in digital worlds like never before. Imagine a future where VR is so advanced that you can't tell if you're in the real world or a simulation. You could live an entirely different life, experience things you never could in reality, and even interact with simulated people who feel real. This raises some interesting questions. If we can create such convincing simulations, what does that say about our own reality? Could we be on the verge of creating a simulation within a simulation? Section 6. Glitches in the Matrix. Evidence or just coincidence? Believers in the simulation hypothesis often point to glitches in the Matrix as evidence. These are unexplained phenomena or strange coincidences that seem to defy the laws of physics or logic. Ever had a case of déjà vu so strong you felt like you were reliving a moment? Or experienced a weird coincidence that seemed statistically impossible? Some people interpret these as glitches in the simulation. While these experiences can be strange and unsettling, they don't necessarily prove we're living in a simulation. Our brains are complex, and our memories and perceptions aren't always reliable. There are often more mundane explanations for these events. Section 7. The nature of reality, a philosophical perspective. The simulation hypothesis, at its core, is a philosophical question about the nature of reality. It challenges us to think about what it means to be conscious, to exist, and to experience the world around us. If we are living in a simulation, does that mean our lives are meaningless? Not necessarily. Even if our reality is simulated, our experiences and emotions are still real to us. The meaning we find in life comes from within, not from the nature of reality itself. The simulation hypothesis also raises questions about free will. If our actions are predetermined by a program, do we truly have control over our lives? This is a debate that has raged on for centuries, long before the idea of simulations. Section 8. So, are we simulated? So what's the verdict? Are we living in a simulation? The truth is, there's no definitive answer. The evidence is circumstantial at best, and the concept itself is difficult, if not impossible, to prove or disprove. While Elon Musk might be convinced that the odds are in favor of simulation, many scientists and philosophers remain skeptical. They argue that the lack of concrete evidence and the unfalsifiable nature of the hypothesis make it an interesting thought experiment, but not a scientific certainty. Ultimately, the question of whether we are simulated beings remains open for debate. It's a topic that sparks our imaginations, challenges our assumptions about reality, and forces us to confront the big questions about our existence. Section 9. The universe within, embracing the unknown. Whether we're living in a simulation or not, one thing is certain: the universe is a vast and mysterious place. Our understanding of reality is constantly evolving as we make new discoveries and push the boundaries of knowledge. The simulation hypothesis reminds us that there's still so much we don't know. It encourages us to question our assumptions, to embrace the unknown, and to never stop exploring the mysteries of the cosmos, both internal and external. So, the next time you look up at the stars, consider the possibility that we might be living in a simulation. It's a mind-blowing thought that, while unproven, can inspire us to appreciate the wonder and strangeness of the universe we inhabit, whatever its true nature may be.